I was co-lead for this design with fellow principals Bianca Hung and Sarah Buckridge, both which can't be here today. The project architect was Kat Lee. Hayball is committed to equality in our profession. We are proud to have over 51% female staff overall, and we have equity in ownership. In the spirit of reconciliation, Hayball acknowledges the traditional custodians of country on which we gather today, upon which we work and live, and upon which Little Hall rests, the Wurundjeri peoples. Little Hall is a University of Melbourne student accommodation building situated on Lincoln Square in Carlton. The building at 15 levels houses 669 students, teaching and learning spaces, a street retail, and a new building with partial adaptation of 2 small heritage structures. The building is named after the donors Paul Little and Jane Hanson, and does house the Hanson Foundation History Scholarship Administration. The university aimed to respond to affordability and tight rental demand in 2015 by providing a new standard of housing options through scholarship. It also aimed to celebrate the campus's history, culture, and community. The site selection by the university related to the unique proximity to green spaces to the north, to the west, and to the east, and aimed to reference the landscape attributes of the central campus, such as the South Lawn and Old Quad. The Swanston Street access also led us to consider a bookend relationship to Newman Hall by Walter Burley Griffin, which was also where it happened to be where the donor's son had attended, and the donor was heavily influential on the project. The form response is a rising courtyard that defines street walls, corners, and acts as a transition from the mid-rise of Carlton to the Hoddle grid behind. We purposely avoided a podium and tower and referenced the college courtyard typology, providing a cloistered permeability from public to private. The rotating stepping down to the north helped guide solar access to the central court, especially at the September equinox. The stepping form also allowed a series of roof terraces with different aspects to the north, east, and green spaces. The lower street walls to the north and taller rear form increased the amount of northern aspect and respected the heritage elements to Lincoln Square. The heritage elements were mostly kept in the round, with the red brick building being adapted to house the Hanson Foundation Learning Hub, teaching and learning use. You can see the rear off there, down to the left. So most of it was kept just besides the rear facade. In terms of the community structure and the pastoral care model, the program brief was for a spatial arrangement to support the esteemed pastoral care model from University of Melbourne. We envisaged a vertical college model to build a collection of communities to encourage interaction, familiarity, and personal experience with a variety of distributed moments. This contrasts to the commercial branded student accommodation approach that is focused on operational efficiency and centralisation. Starting at the ground, the student support offices and learning hub have dual aspect facing to the street and back into the courtyard. The hub amphitheatre has framed views to the landscape. On the multiple roof terraces, the different characters are evenly distributed to allow close access for all students. Within the courtyard, a colonnade locates a sequence of communal spaces that are apparent on entry. A formal communal study area, a series of meeting rooms, around to an informal kitchen and noisy kitchen space that shares aspects to the tree canopy and the protected outdoor area. Following these spaces, a games room, a music room, and a theatre have aspects into the rear laneway giving passive surveillance. Moving up the building, all the roof terraces have an associated indoor communal space, allowing programming for informal studying and outdoor events simultaneously. Up at level 10 spaces, there is also a series of framed views, which we considered to incorporate views to the east, especially over towards the exhibition dome, which you can just see in the centre there. It's more apparently there. And after 2 years of post-occupancy, it took a while, obviously, for COVID to sort of kick in, and we got sort of decent feedback from it, but it's now 100% full. We found that this space here got voted the most popular space, and this is on level 10 overlooking the park. It was conceived as a home and sort of a homely library space with a fireplace and lounge. The key outcome is a variety of options and aspects that provide safe spaces for the student community. To promote a variety of options for the room types, the demographics were grouped into generally the private singular apartments into the white stone element, and then into the more shared model in the taller glass and metal section. Starting with an example of a studio one-bedroom type, this incorporated a prefabricated bathroom at the entry, small kitchenette, and a desk and bed position that would promote the tall access of the picture windows to the park. You note the operable windows are concealed behind louvers to provide a sort of a calm, static appearance to the facade, and also because of the high safety requirements in student accommodation. But we're really insistent on getting as much natural ventilation as we could into the apartments. The shared cluster type plan was more for the younger undergraduates and was more affordable. They thought of it as more like a share house with private bathrooms. The shared living rooms generally have aspect to the north. These types, generally with the bedrooms to the east and west, have shaped window bays, which gave more views back to the campus and back to the city. And we're pleased to note that these window bays have been highly inhabited, used for pot plants and the like, so it's actually given a lot more animation to the facade. The two primary facade languages are distributed across the building, with a tactile light stone to the street and the heritage interfaces, then a bronze glass and metal curtain wall to the taller rear form of the courtyard. These shaped stone bays, window bays, had to be prefabricated in the curtain wall, and was a key challenge, especially the construction that occurred during COVID. The 40mm Portuguese limestone was assembled in Malaysia and then installed without scaffolding, which was a very unique experience. The facade being a curtain wall, obviously had allowed to have very high, strong air tightness, thermal bridging performance, and glass performance. So we achieved a 5-star Green Star as-built requirements, but a heavy focus on getting a high thermal response. We thank the clients for not giving up on the stone, which was very challenging. It ended up being a curtain wall the same weight as precast concrete. And the builder offered many kindly cheaper alternatives, but the client stood by it. So, Little Hall is a truly unique student accommodation building for University of Melbourne that we're very proud of. From the progressive social brief, the high thermal rating, and the civic commitment to the street and quality and permanence.